I'm Ardo Cal. This is ESPN Esports, joined by Hex. You definitely know him as OpTic Hex. Now you can take the OpTic away and put in the NRG. I'm sure, Hex, that I know that it's going to take a lot of getting used to, not only for yourself, but for fans out there to associate you with NRG because you had such a long-standing history building that OpTic brand. But here we are. First of all, I want to hear about that first day. You woke up. And you were with NRG and you're starting this new journey. What did that feel like?
It didn't feel that much different. I mean, it was like it didn't feel different. It was my day-to-day interactions with the world that was different, right? I go into my office at home. There's a massive OpTic Gaming logo. I go into my closet. Everything is OpTic. I come into the office, into the studio, and there's a lot of memorabilia from OpTic. So. I don't know. I don't think it. Again, as I mentioned in my video, it's such a big part of me. It was a part of my being more than anything. It was a lifestyle. I never saw it as a brand. I just saw it as something that I was. The way that I'm a Rodriguez, I was a member of the Green Wall. So, yeah, for me, I don't think I'll ever get used to it. What I will get used to is obviously being part of the NRG fam. That's what I think I will get used to.
I do encourage people to watch your vlog, and you had a very interesting line in there. You said the last 3 weeks have been completely insane, but the last 4 months have been even wilder and crazier. And I know that there's going to be a lot of parts to the last few months of your life professionally coming out in the weeks to come. But just as much as you can tell us here, I mean, at what point did you know that really the end was near in terms of your relationship with OpTic Gaming, and you really did have to look elsewhere?
I don't know. I think it was a culmination of a whole bunch of things. It was more on the Infinite side. It was all on the Infinite side that made me sort of put a, I don't know. It was more of my Infinite experience with Infinite Esports and Entertainment that made me realize that that just wasn't the place for me, and I needed to sort of turn the page and go on to a brand new chapter, and I'm excited for it.
Was there, if you're able to get into it, I know that in that time you also took some time away from the day-to-day operations, a little bit of time away from vlogging as well. What were the reasons that led to that?
So what happened? Nothing. It's just at times when you are overwhelmed by emotions and you're overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that you have to do, it's super hard to be creative. And the whole vlogging thing is it's an entire creative process for me. It wasn't just like a job. It was me wanting to share my life with people. So yeah, I just a lot. I never want to get on camera when I'm having like a bad day or too bad of a day. Like I don't mind being annoyed by certain things that are happening with a flat tire and such. But when it's a little bit more serious and there's a lot at stake, it's a little bit tougher to do something like that.
We know that you were involved, possibly involved in the bid to buy the company at one point. Immortals does come in, buys Infinite, and that sale is made. When you heard that news, what was going on in your mind in June?
Not a lot. I mean, it was a competitive process. They're a good group. They're comprised of a lot of intelligent people. So it was a little bit tough. Just like anything else in life, I don't like losing, and that felt a little bit like losing. So for me, it was a little bit sad in a sense, but it is what it is.
At what point after that did you start talking with Immortals and RE, but also other organizations? Like, describe the next couple weeks for you after that announcement, if you can.
Well, RE and the Immortals organization was super cool to me in everything. They were very transparent, and we had open lines of communication. And at the end of the day, they bought OpTic from Infinite. They didn't buy it from me. So they were buying it from Infinite Esports and Entertainment the way that I was trying to buy it back from Infinite Esports and Entertainment. So between us, there was really no bad sort of relationship.
So you released a joint statement saying that they tried to. First of all, it was interesting that there were numerous conversations. Like, it was plural. It wasn't just one conversation that you had with them. Or, according to the statement, it was multiple or more than one at least. And it sounded like they wanted you to continue in your current role, and you declined. So when did you make that decision that, you know, this road was over, this chapter was closed, and you were looking elsewhere?
There wasn't a single moment that sort of made me say, you know what, it's time for me to, you know, just to go on and do something else. It wasn't one specific thing. It was you know, a year to 2 year long process of me, you know, speaking with my teammates, speaking with my family, and saying, you know what, it might be time. And the more I thought about it, the more I saw the opportunity. I said to myself, you know what, it would be cool to spread my wings a little bit and see what else I can do.
What was your relationship like with the folks at NRG, and when did you first speaking with them seriously about joining them?
Ooh, that's a weird question, because, you know, I've always you know, known Andy. Obviously, I keep very in tune with what's going on around me in the world of esports. So I've always known that Andy was a force of nature, you know, running NRG, and also you know, doing the Sacramento King stuff and the other amount of stuff that he does. And you know, he reached out. We had a couple of conversations, and it really didn't, you know, materialize until later on. We have a lot of similar sort of thoughts around the industry that really made sense. I like that they're so well diversified in the esports, and they had a lot of my old family members. So for me, it was super easy to say. I was like, oh man, that's Tarek right there. Chet, that's my man's. And then they just picked up the Gears of War team, and I'm like, that's my man's Explosive. That's Lethal. I mean, no, that I meant to say Mental. That's Mental, not Lethal. Lethal's also my brother, but he's doing his own thing with Toxic.
So did it feel, even after that first conversation with Andy and the team, did it really feel like, you know, this is a really viable solution for me? It really feels like a good fit.
Yeah, you know, they sort of came into my life in a time where I wanted to, you know, to go back into it. I benched myself. I put myself on the sidelines during this whole process, and you know, very quickly I realized that that's not what I wanted to do. Not because of what was happening around me, which wasn't that great, you know, on the Infinite side, but mostly because I didn't like to not have my hands in every single thing. This whole thing that you see behind me, the Hex Quarters, happened because I still wanted to be involved some way, somehow. And although we disagreed at various levels with somebody else, they weren't going to be able to stop me from doing anything that I wanted to do. So I did it. I put something together for the players to, you know, to come and have fun at, and create a cool space, in my opinion. And that's why. I mean, I don't like to be on the sidelines. So I'm a starter.
One last question about OpTic before we get into your responsibilities with NRG. I know that in the statement, like I said, you and Ari had multiple conversations. How close were you to staying, if at all?
I don't know. I don't think I ever really thought about staying. I knew that if I wasn't if I was not going to be able to get OpTic back, then I was going to probably go off and do something else. And, you know, I told Ari many times, it's not about, you know, you or your organization, and it's not about any of that. It's just me inside of my head saying it's better for you to go do something else. So it had, you know, it was something along those lines. It was definitely not all right, well, let's give it a shot in this. We had several conversations, and he did try, you know, very hard to get me to stay. I mean, who wouldn't? Right. But it, you know, at the end of the day, I followed my heart, and I did what I thought was best.